take care of you.
Hello, welcome to the Ginger Camel film prop room.
Yes.
We've actually moved. Have we been demoted?
Yes, they throwed us out.
They threw us out.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm
Yes.
Swedish. They throw us out.
So Ginger Camel film are doing so well, they moved us out of the podcast room, and now we are in the prop cupboard.
Yes.
And as you can see, we have various props around us, and we have this character here. Who is he?
He's Ginger Teddy.
Ginger Teddy, and he's supporting a Nepali.
Yeah, he's
flag.
a Nepali friend today because we have a very cool guest today.
And who is our guest?
Well,
All right, our guest is Fahad Badar. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to this crazy podcast. With our audience, you might have noticed actually that it's a little bit different than the last episode or the last season.
Mm-hmm.
We are into season 3, and we have a new co-host. Well, are you new?
No, I'm not new.
She's not new.
No.
She's been on our business lunch review.
Mm-hmm.
You might have heard her before.
My name is Anne, the crazy Swedish Anne.
Welcome, Anne.
Thank you.
So we are launching season 3 with a new look, a new feel.
Yeah.
And hopefully you will enjoy it.
Of course.
So Fahad, we're gonna meet you in a lift. We've never met you before, so ignore before, and we meet you in a lift. What kind of lift are we gonna be in now?
Well, it's a kind of small lift, and it's not one of the old, like with a one of the bar,
Yeah,
not those.
not those.
It's a small lift, and it takes about maybe 4 people.
Okay.
It's a bit crowded, but
So there's three of us at the moment.
yes, we are standing
Who's
in
the
the
extra
elevator.
character?
The extra character is she's a young girl going to her
Oh, okay.
parents, I think. Yes, hello.
And his Fahad dressed in his robe,
Yeah, he is
so he's looking very smart.
very smart.
Thank you.
So we're drawn to say hello to you.
Hi.
Hi.
And we are traveling up to the 15th, 16th floor,
Yes.
and we would like an introduction. We would like you to give us an elevator pitch.
Okay, so my name is Fahad.
You've got 15 seconds. All right?
Well, I have a little because soon we are up on our floor, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
So.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Bam.
Off you go, Fahad.
I'm Fahad. I'm a banker and an adventure seeker and a mountaineer.
Wow.
All right. He wins.
Bam.
We were doing a practice yesterday, and we had an intern, and she way past the 15 seconds, and you've just hit it the nail on the head.
7.
Yeah, thank you.
Well
That's
done. And I
well
would be
done.
curious to ask more questions.
I want to hear more.
Absolutely.
More.
So well done, Fahad.
Welcome to the right floor. Yes, now we are here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Fahad, I'm curious. When you were a youngster, which is probably not many years ago, because you look so young, what were your dreams at that time?
I think as growing up, I loved adventure overall, and this is what's shown in me growing as a teenager, as a young child. And as I grow older and was shocked with the reality of life, where you need to work, you need to have a job, I found little avenues to explore my dreams. However, one of the things I loved at that time was backpacking and hiking, and unfortunately I could not quit my job and go for long periods, but I used whatever holidays I have to explore new areas. And that was in 2001, 2002, 2003, when smartphones were not there, there's no internet. And for a Qatari, it was very strange backpacking through the jungles of Laos, Cambodia, going to Nepal. I've done lots of backpacking there, hiking in the mountains. I went all the way to Tibet, to Lhasa by bus, 4 days, that's the only Arab seen in Lhasa. The police were all over me. What are you doing there in Lhasa in 2003? So I loved backpacking in Southeast Asia, going to China, going different places. However, I did not feel that satisfied my adventure need. In the same time, because I loved adventure, I started doing lots of martial arts. So I'm a black belt in Aikido. I've done kickboxing for 15 years. I've done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and other martial arts. which brought some of the adventure feeling that I have. I did not like to play video games because instead of playing the games, I like to do the things that the game is doing. And that was my motto.
Okay. Before you finish the podcast in 5 minutes, let's just go back to when you were a kid. Why? What was it? What inspired you to be like an adventurer? What, did you see a film? Did you see something? Because I can basically, you're from Qatar, so you were brought up here.
Yes.
So what was it that you saw that gave you that spark to say, I want to become an adventurer. I want to put a backpack on my back? Because, as kids, we basically are inspired by family or something that we watched on TV. What was it? Can you remember? What was it that...
I think the first thing is a combination of two things.
Yeah.
One of them is Indiana Jones.
Okay.
So I saw some of the earlier movies, and I was very young, and I remember like the movie when he was in India. I was scared of watching that movie. I was, I think, maybe 5-6 years old, or maybe older at that time.
Was that with the monkey head? Was
I
that?
think so.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
They were
scary.
eating the eyes.
Yeah,
and-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that one for now it's not scary, but at that time, but it gave me a sense of, until now, the songs of Indiana Jones, when I hear them, it was really interesting. And also at some point I used to watch like some of the TV series at that time, like Mission Impossible at that time, and I think the one with the talking car, I forgot the name.
Oh, Herbie. Was it Herbie?
Not Herbie, no,
No?
it's the...
Oh,
the
Knight
other-
Rider?
Yes,
Knight
that's the
Rider.
one. That's the one. But at the same time, I was an avid reader, so I read lots of adventure books, but they were mainly in Arabic and Arabic folklore. So in the 14th century, 15th century, different people doing adventures, 1,000 Night and Night with all the genies and others. So
Yeah.
at that time, again, we had one TV channel. There was no satellite TV, and
Yeah.
I'm talking about late 80s, early 90s. So I used to read a lot because this is the only thing I can do, at that time, or playing outside. So I used to read all of this, and it came into the background for me. So this is why I always seeked, I love adventure. I want to do
Right.
something different. And from that time, I wanted to be different. I did not want to be the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think growing up, as I read more and as I travel more, I saw that the world is bigger than what some people at that time saw only in Qatar. Qatar being a small country before the internet ages. I remember first time I used PC was 1995, or before that the Mac around 1992. So that gradually opened the world. But at that time, Doha was a very small place.
Yeah.
Even Qatar Airways was not there. We used to travel Gulf Air, and like the farthest place we used to go either the UK or, like, just example, Thailand.
Okay.
But we did not know other countries. It was very strange for us.
Nice. And okay, you're on this, so you have your dream, and you've been inspired. Did that kind of hinder you in focusing on working as well? Choosing a job. How did you choose?
Actually, my first job, which is my current job, the same employer, when I joined, I was planning to be a temporary job. So I joined there until I found a better job. I started way at the bottom of the organization at a very low salary at that time. And my plan was in 1 year or 2 years' time, I'll move into oil and gas, because banking was not exciting at that time in Qatar,
Yeah.
And as I went through, I loved what I do, and I started growing up in the corporate ladder. So I started being promoted gradually as I go, and it's all because of hard work. So I did not have any what we call in local language wasta, which is a connection or someone who helped you to get promoted at that time, which I feel very proud about.
Yeah, we like hard work.
But in the same time, as I wanted to do adventure, I was thinking that I need to establish myself. So that was part of my personality of being someone. So about achieving my work and completing my studies. As for my studies, I started in Qatar University for 3 years. I was studying science, which I did not like much. I was not excited. I like numbers.
Yeah.
However, I studied science because it was the smart thing to do than studying numbers at that time or business. So I dropped out of the university, and at that time I used to work for family business along with my work in the bank, and I thought education is useless. Until 2002, when I was backpacking, I remember being in the jungle of Laos. We were kayaking in a boat down a river for 4 days, sleeping in the villages. And most of the people with me, they were either in their gap year after school or gap year after university. And for me, every time they talk to me, I felt that they started looking down, oh, you dropped out of university, so what's your plans? And I had no plans. So at that time, I decided to complete my studies. And this is when, while working, I started studying in the evening, finishing with a UK university, and then going for the final year in 2005 to complete my bachelor degree. But then I decided this is not enough. I want to do an MBA. And I've done a full year MBA in the UK at that time in Durham University, which is the third oldest after Oxford and Cambridge. But even doing my MBA, I wanted one of the best schools in the UK. And UK was better option for me than US or Canada because of 1 year comparing to 2 years MBA there.
So did you study did you go to UK for the
Yes.
year? Ah. And what was that like?
It was amazing, living there and going to a top university, working hard, actually match my personality. I like to work hard. I like to be challenged. I like the excitement. If you want to kill me, put me in a boring job.
We don't want to kill
we totally
you.
agree with that.
Yeah,
That's why
we
we're
do.
doing what we do.
Yeah.
But
And maybe on that point, and you'll see it as maybe I'll continue the podcast, I do best under pressure. Under pressure, I'm very relaxed, I'm very quiet, and I do much better than the average person.
Yeah.
And actually, it excites me without showing on me, but I love working under pressure.
But it's fascinating what you're saying because basically the adventurous side kind of opened your eyes to what you wanted to do on your educational as well as your work life. You know, there were lessons to be learned as you were doing the adventurous side of your life. And has that always been the case? That you've seen that as you've grown wiser, older?
Yes, however, I got sucked into work a lot until like 2014, 2015, where I felt I'm staying in the office too late. It's affecting my health.
Yeah.
I started not doing my regular trainings. I'm athletic since I was young. I like going to the gym, doing my martial arts, but I stopped it because I was so focused at work.
But that's easy to do. That happens to a lot of people, isn't it?
Exactly.
get
But
it,
in
like
2015, 16, I took a decision. I need to look at life, work balance. And this at time I need to focus on my family. And then from 2016, I thought, what about my dreams? At corporate ladder, I'm doing very well. I'm executive general manager in a commercial bank. However, and also I felt like in 2 years I'll become 40. I'll become 40 years old in 2 months' time. So I thought, okay, before reaching 40, I need to look back and reflect what I have been dreaming of.
No, it's the midlife kind of question.
Midlife crisis, midlife question.
No, yeah.
No, I like the question.
I like the
Midlife
question. I don't
questions.
think it's a crisis.
No,
I think it's a
grow.
time of reflection and we grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where I started reflection and I said, actually the happiest times it was when I was backpacking in the mountains. This is the happiest. And I remember one time in 2002.
Why was it the happiest?
Because, I'm connected to nature.
Yeah.
The air is so clean. You are so high in the mountains. Although some theories, they say because you're high in the mountains, you have less oxygen, so you basically are high. I'm not sure if that's true, but I loved being in nature,
Yeah.
being connected to nature, This is what I love the most, the simple life. And this is where I thought, okay, actually in 2002 or 2003, I looked at Everest and I thought one day I'll be climbing that mountain. And during my MBA, and this is where when I started remembering, I remember like in 2006 when I started my MBA, one of the things I told my colleagues, one of my dreams to climb Everest. I said it once, twice, but then as you go along, you forget your dreams. And then when I remembered, yes, I dreamt about that, I said, okay, I need to go back to climbing mountain. I need to give it time. And I started from, actually my first real mountain was Kilimanjaro in January or February 2018.
Wow.
Oh, so you really didn't start climbing until 2017 or?
That's
Wow.
amazing.
So
Wow.
what kind of training was needed to do that?
The thing is, I did not start from scratch. So I was already fit. I was already training. I used to do hiking even in the UK. I used to go to the Lake District and used to do a lot of hiking whenever I travel, but not real mountain climbing. So Kilimanjaro was the first test. And for Kilimanjaro, I did not do any specific program or training. So I was doing the normal fitness and I've done the mountain for 7 days, which was not very easy for me as I'm not used to sleeping in tents at freezing cold, not used to the walking every day. And Kilimanjaro actually it's considered one of the easiest climbs. 60,000 people or more do it every year, and however for me, because it was new for me, it was difficult.
Yeah.
However, after doing Kilimanjaro, this is where I decided I love this. I love all the effort. This is for me. And I decided that, and again, everything I'm telling you, I did not tell anybody at that time. Even my wife, I told her I climbed Everest only 3 months or 4 months before that.
Oh, really?
No.
So I was keeping it to myself.
And what was her response?
I
No, we want
She
to know.
must be
We want.
so
My
scared.
wife is a lovely lady. She's a highly educated lady. She's actually smarter than me. So she's a medical doctor
Yeah.
who practiced medicine, then moved to research in Qatar Foundation. She worked for Qatar Genome Project. So She got higher education by doing her PhD from Imperial College in London, so one of the top universities in the world, and she's handling all the genome sequencing in Qatar.
Wow.
Which is a very smart thing. I don't know
Absolutely. Yeah.
how to discuss it, but she was unhappy because of the risks. Like when people talk about Everest, one of the first thing you do is you see the movie Everest.
Of course.
Oof.
I've seen it.
Yes,
Yeah.
me too.
By the way, it's very realistic.
Yeah.
It
It's one
is.
of the most realistic
Yeah.
movies, and this is given from my experience climbing Everest.
Yeah.
But at that time, of course, like there was some other factors that affected the team that have done the mountain at that time. But she was a bit unhappy. However, I think what gave her comfort and convinced her that she saw me that I was very serious about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not taking it lightly. Even the type of research that I was doing in terms of choosing the right company, the right guide, the right routes, the right planning. Also, as part of Everest, I was working with Aspetar Hospital. So they have a great team there, like in terms of physical training, diet, and general health. So they worked very closely for me to improve my training program, which was a bit, they screw it a bit to make it more appropriate for mountain climbing.
And have they got a room that can reduce the temperature so you practice in that kind of?
It was more of reducing the oxygen level
Yeah.
and
Okay.
temperature.
Yeah.
Right.
They have an altitude room, so to reduce the oxygen, but
Yeah.
at the same time for Everest, because I had a failure in December climbing one mountain which affected me, and I can talk about this also. I have actually bought my own chamber. So in my house, I have a plastic tent that have a machine, and it can reduce the oxygen to mimic sleeping at up to 6,000 meters.
Wow.
So
Wow.
if you think about it, actually, in Doha, which is sea level, the oxygen level is around 20.9%, which is
Yeah.
at sea level.
Yeah.
So it's not pure oxygen you're breathing 20% oxygen and other gases.
Mm-hmm.
However, as you go higher, for example, at Everest Base Camp, which I stayed almost 2 months, it's around 5,300 meters. The oxygen level is around 10.5%. As you reach the summit of Everest, which is 8,848, is around 6.1%, if my memory serves me right.
Yeah.
So, as a human body, as you go higher, you have more difficulties breathing, and at the same time, you're not just sitting there, you need to move, you need to climb. So, it's becoming more so to adjust your body. Like for me, I used that tent to reduce the oxygen level, and I was sleeping on it like 3 months before I travel, or 3 or 4 months before I travel. Also, it came with a mask that I use it while using treadmill or other
Yeah.
exercises,
Yeah.
which again mimic me moving or walking
Mm-hmm.
at such altitudes. So that was also a good thing. They had it in Espetar, but having that home allowed me to sleep on it while staying with my family. So I had a guest room in my house where I stayed there, but I have 2 lovely daughters, 4 years and 1 year. Actually, at that time, before I go to Everest, my daughter was born in July. My second daughter was born in July last year. When I went to Everest, she was around 8 months or 7 months old.
Did that not play on your mind as well? That you're doing something that potentially could kill you.
Yes, there is a risk in everything you do in life.
True.
For Everest, the death rate is around 3.7%.
Right.
But it's less than other mountains, like for example Annapurna or K2, which is the second highest and third highest. The death rate is around 25% to 30%.
Is that on your hit list as well?
Maybe one day in the future, but it's not immediate. But one of the
Okay.
things my wife told me is promise me to come back.
Yeah.
And I said I promised that. And again, maybe because of my personality, because of my background, and I work in a bank, and a banker is a risk taker, but a calculated risk taker.
Smart.
This is not the
Very good.
you see lots of banking laws in the US and
Yeah.
Europe and others, so sometimes bankers go above, but for me I was doing lots of risk calculating and looking at the factors, like the factors, your own training, your own preparation, the guiding company choosing the best, the how many bottles of oxygen you have, the route, the training. And as someone told me, like before I go, like 1 week, a few days before I travel to Everest, I asked him, will I make it to the summit? He said, if you want to.
Exactly.
So basically, if I had it in my mind,
Yeah.
I would have it. And for me, one thing that was coming always to my mind while doing it, failure is not an option. And this is actually a very classic wording that was used for the Apollo 11. If you saw the movie, they always said at the control room, failure is not an option.
No.
So I always had it in my mind, failure is not an option, but I will not kill myself for it.
No.
But this is where I had to push myself to the extreme. And also climbing Everest, it was a personal achievement for me, but I wanted to do more than others. So beside Everest, there's another mountain called Lhotse, which is the highest mountain in the world. I said, I'll set myself a challenge to climb Everest and to climb Lhotse. But when I went first, the expedition company did not take my money for the second mountain. They said, Fahad, it's very hard to do Everest. How come you'll do the other mountain immediately after it?
Oh, really? You did it straight after climbing Everest?
Second day, basically.
Wow.
Yeah. And at that time, they said, we'll not take your money until 2 weeks before the summit day, where they thought I'm ready enough. They looked at me, they looked at my training, and they said, yes, we will take it, however, no refunds. So after coming down from Everest, I come down to Camp 4 at 8,000 meters.
Mm-hmm.
If I achieve the summit of Everest,
Yeah.
then if I decided not to go, they will not refund me the money which I paid for Lhotse.
Yeah.
However, I was able to do Everest. I was the first to reach the summit, which is not a race, but it helped me to avoid some of the lines that formed at that night, which caused some more deaths. Like there's around 11 people who passed away this year.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That it's becoming so congested that's the problem there.
Yeah, but I think the media, they were like not painting the right messages about Everest and others.
No.
But like continuing to that first story is reaching Camp 4 at 8,000 meters, we relaxed for around less than 12 hours we relaxed, and then we went ahead and we summited Lhotse. And I came back all the way to base camp within 3 days, walking my legs, so I did not have any injuries, zero things. And at that time I was shocked, not I was shocked, but I was surprised, happily surprised to know first, I was the first Arab to climb Lhotse, so no Arabs attempted it. I had a lady from Morocco who was climbing Everest and Lhotse with me, so we became the first man and woman from Arab world to climb Lhotse.
Nice.
And the first man and woman from the Arab world to do a double climb, which is climbing Everest and Lhotse at the same trip, and part of only 30 people or 32 people who done it until 2018 doing a double climb. Of course, once we get statistics this year, maybe it will reach 50 or 60,
Yeah.
but this is from the whole world.
Wow.
Because again, climbing Everest itself is a challenge, and I saw people coming broken. I was destroyed. I had actually a snow blind in one of my eyes. So coming down from the summit, I was blind in one eye. I recovered while relaxing at Camp 4 at 8,000 meters. But then I had the energy, me and my colleague Mariam Kothiri from Morocco, to continue doing Lhotse. What everyone wanted, just to go down.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Just want to go home.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
What a story.
So, what would you say is your highlight? Or is that your high point in your life so far? Climbing those 2 summits?
I think for anyone, if you ask, like climbing those summits were the highlights. And again, it's a dream that came true. It's something that I wanted so bad to do it. And the thing, like, sometimes people ask me, were you afraid in Everest? And the thing is that I'm worried people say, Fahad, you're lying, but I was not afraid. The thing that I was afraid the most of is failure, not being able to do it. But I was not scared at any moment. Even reaching the summit, I had an issue there where my oxygen regulator actually failed. And that would have meant death. But at that time, my guide was an experienced mountaineer from Ecuador. His name is Osvaldo Ferrero. He has 21 years of mountain experience. He done Everest twice before. That was his third climb. One of them was without oxygen, which is very few people do it without oxygen. At that time, he gave me his oxygen regulator, and he stayed without oxygen for around half an hour.
Amazing.
Just to allow me to stay there. Otherwise, maybe I would have serious altitude sickness, or maybe I have died.
Yeah.
You know, but even at that moment, I was not scared. And again, while doing an experience such as Everest, you're so focused that you pass by dead bodies and you have no feelings. Come down that you are so numb and your feelings, you are numb.
Wow.
Someone fall beside you and he die, you have
can't.
zero feeling.
No.
So this was the experience in Everest.
So okay, so you've, what you have achieved is amazing. Can you top that? Is there anything after that
The sky is the limit, and maybe a statement I always say that every one of us in his life has an Everest. Doesn't have to be a mountain.
No.
So Everest is a challenge that every one of us have it. For me, it was a mountain that I achieved now. Maybe in a few years there will be another Everest. Maybe getting my kids to school. Maybe for them finishing universities, getting married, getting higher jobs, having achievements. So I think like Everest, until now, it's the highest point in my life. But again, also one of the highest points in my life is having my kids. When my daughter was born, it was after like getting married for 7 years. So that was a long way to get my first daughter, Mariam, and then getting my second daughter, Noura. So that has changed me personally, having kids. Getting married changed you, but having kids let you feel it differently. And as I was in the mountains, I was always Sitting there, you don't have no connection, mainly at the upper camps. And I just used to see their photos and think about them.
Yeah.
And thinking, I will not fail. I need to go back and I will not fail for them. I want them to feel proud of me saying, Baba climbed Everest. Which is
Nice.
not every kid can say
No,
that.
exactly.
No.
Yeah.
And, you know, dealing with the elements and being in that kind of environment, has that given you more of a respect for the world that we live in?
I think there I saw life and death. I saw people risking their life. I saw people working with us to help us. And I think, let me see people or see the world in a different way. First, for me personally, thinking that everything is possible. And I work for Commercial Bank of Qatar, which the motto is everything is possible. And again, it's a coincidence, but actually everything is possible if you set your mind to do it. Also, let me see like different things. Like I like to do volunteering work, and part of the things I have done actually while climbing Everest was to promote like raising Qatar flag, raising Commercial Bank flag, but also raising the flag of Qatar 2022, the World Cup, and Qatar Cancer Society, which part of the social media thing that I was doing while climbing Everest, promote their activities, ask people to donate money for them to help Qatari or mainly non-Qatari cancer patients who actually the government helped them with the treatment fees. But people having cancer also sometimes lose their jobs. They have financial liabilities. They have kids that need to take to school.
Yeah.
Although the government is paying for their, for example, health, however, they need people to help them with other life expenses. And Qatar Cancer Society actually is very well funded by big organizations, but they depend on individual donors also. So I was promoting that. And also coming back, I thought that I need to give back to Nepal, the country that hosted me for 2 months. The Nepalese Sherpa are great people and people who work very hard helping the climbers. I can say that without Nepalese Sherpa, hardly anyone will be climbing Everest.
Yeah.
Even the first climb of Everest, which was around 1952, if I'm not mistaken, by Sir Edward Hillary, was done with a Nepalese Sherpa, which is Tenji Sherpa, if I get his name correctly. And again, it was a teamwork. And actually, there was a controversy when they came down that people were saying, who reached the summit first? Was it Sir Edmund Hillary or Tenji? And again, both of them, they came to the media and they said, we arrived together. So they, even Sir Hillary, he did not want to take the credit for himself because actually they climbed together and they told the media, we reached the summit together. So now when you see anything, both of them reached the summit at the same time.
Yeah.
And actually that was something interesting also looking at Everest, looking at people with different intentions. So most of the climbers had a good cause in their mind, promoting a charity, promoting some kind of different initiatives. So it's a noble challenge that people wanted to do. But of course, some people were looking for the fame, for looking for the different coverage, and some people even that climbing Everest gave them a better jobs and better like opportunities in life, being an Everest climber. So different people had different objectives at that time.
Of course.
That's great, Fahad. We're coming near to the end of the show. This part, we've got the quick fire questions. So we're going to throw you a few questions very quickly. What's your favourite film?
Kill Bill, which is by Quentin Tarantino.
Okay, very good.
I like the movie, I like the music, the photography, everything. I like the style.
Okay. Favourite documentary?
I see a couple of them, but I can't remember the names, to be frank with you. But I like to see documentaries, but mainly about mountains. So I like to
Of
see
course.
documentaries.
Of course you do. Of course.
Yeah. Favourite animation?
Animation, actually, it's an Arabic old animation. It's called Adnan Walina in Arabic, but I don't know the word. It's a Japanese animation, but it talk about a kid who's like, at that time when I used to see it in the 80s, he was very adventurous and he was so strong that he can do anything. And it's very famous in Qatar, one of the most famous animation for Qatari and actually GCC population, Adnan Walina. But I don't know the name in Japanese.
Okay, we'll have to check that
Maybe
one
it's
out.
your name because you are the character.
Maybe I was.
Maybe it's you.
I like the song, and actually the Japanese animator, he's one of the most famous, if not the famous Japanese animator. He passed away a few years back, and again I can't recall his name.
Okay. Name a book that's inspired you.
Oh, I read many books. I have a library at home that I have more than 3,000, 4,000 titles. I think.
Wow.
A huge room, which so. Can't remember now. I need to think about it because all of them are good. All of them inspire me in different ways.
absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
each book will inspire different part of your life, and
Yeah.
certain books you read them a certain part of your life, they will inspire you. You read
Absolutely.
them when you're older, they don't inspire you anymore.
No, it's true,
Very
because
true.
we
Yeah.
change.
Absolutely. And final question: if you were stranded on top of a mountain, what one thing would you want with you at that point in time?
To be frank, because again, I climb mountains, I would like so many things.
Yeah, I know.
But like at least to have some sort of way to make fire. I think this
Oh.
will be the best thing.
Okay.
Smart.
Again, I can melt water. I can keep myself warm. I assume I'll be wearing something.
Yeah.
I can make some light at night. So, like making fire at least can save my life for some time until I get help.
Superb.
Like it.
And Fahad, if anyone wants to find more information about you and your story, how can they?
I'm on social media,
Yeah.
but mainly active on Instagram.
Okay.
My Instagram account, which is Fahad917. Fahad Fahad 917, which is basically my birthday, 17 September. So
And soon
I-
it's birthday.
Yeah, so I post photos, videos. I'm not very active. I should be more active on social media, but maybe I'll use your help.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, we're always
Yeah,
here
but
to
it
help.
was, I follow you, and I love, it's so inspiring.
And
Thank you.
actually, one thing I thought about, maybe I'll say in the program, is about having a small animation series about mountain climbing and other. And again, because lots of kids approach me after doing Everest, and some of them like 15, 16 years old, and they say, we want to climb Everest.
Yeah.
Then I ask them why. What Everest mean to you?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, like in mountain climbing, you can learn lots of things. You can learn patience. You can learn planning. You can learn having a dream. So
Yeah.
I think a short animation series, and I think that should be 2 minutes to 4 minutes max
Yeah.
each, can tell the key messages about what's mountain climbing and what is it for you, and how it
Absolutely.
reflected in your personal life.
We can do that.
Very good. Well, it's been an honor to have you on the show,
So
Fahad.
nice.
Thank you
It's
very
been
much.
ins-
Thank you
very
much for
inspirational.
hosting
Yeah,
me.
I'm
Have you been
feeling like,
inspired?
oh yes, I love the thing that you said, that everyone has a Mount Everest inside.
Absolutely.
I love that one.
and
Thank you.
what mountain are you going to climb soon?
Well, I must say, because I've been to Nepal, and when I saw the Mount Everest, I started to cry, because it's humbling to see something that is actually the highest mountain. And I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. But I don't think I will climb it. I would like to go to the first base.
Yeah, base camp trek is very beautiful trek. Take
Yeah.
2 weeks, but also there's so many different areas in Nepal that you can visit. And then again, I'm after coming back, I made sure to go to the Nepalese embassy, introduce myself, meet the staff. I volunteer to help them in any activities they do for the Nepalese workers, which are a big population in Qatar. They are helping us to build the country, and we're very
Absolutely.
grateful to them.
Yeah.
But also 2020 is Visit Nepal year. So they have a campaign around the world called Visit Nepal 2020. They will do certain activities here in Qatar. I'll be working closely with the embassy as a volunteer, helping them there.
Nice.
And they will be saying, Nepal is not only about Everest. Do you know Nepal have a very nice safari area, national park? It's called Chitwan, which you can see elephants, you can see animals, buffaloes, and others. It has smaller mountains that you can climb just walking there.
Yeah.
It has so many different areas in Annapurna region. Other than everyone think about Everest, but
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
so much to see
Yeah.
in
And the
Nepal.
people is so nice.
And the people are so nice, and
They
they
are.
have the infrastructure for tourism.
Yeah.
And the ticket is very cheap by Qatar Airways.
They
have
are.
4 flights per day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very easy access.
And it's cool when you're flying and you see do you say Himalayas in English?
Himalayas.
Himalayas.
Yeah.
And you see them, it's like, oh, I cried there as well. Yes,
You cry very
I
easily.
cry easily.
And maybe lastly, that for me, I'll continue climbing mountains. So this is something that I'm passionate about. I don't do it for any reason. And in 2 weeks' time, I'm traveling actually to Geneva, and I'm planning to attempt Mont Blanc, which is an easier challenge than Everest, but every mountain has its own challenges at that time. And end of the year, I'm traveling to Antarctica, South Pole. So I'll be doing Vinson, which is the highest mountain in Antarctica, which is around 4,800, 4,900 meters. And also I'm doing a ski the last degree, which is a challenge where I'll be skiing part of the South Pole, which is around 110 kilometers, which take 8 days. So I'll be doing cross-country skiing there, having a sled, carrying my tent and my things, and sleeping in South Pole along with a group. Hopefully in the future I'll be doing the full South Pole, but that takes 2 months, so I cannot afford to do that for now.
Well, you've got to come on the show again then
You
and tell us how that went.
And
Yeah.
we can help you with the skiing because I'm Swedish. And you're half Swedish.
I'm half Swedish.
Yeah.
And I did cross-country skiing one time.
You did.
And I never forget that I had been training just on the dry, the rollerblades. And when I did this race, I had this 75-year-old lady who was literally gliding past me. And I was like going... and it was just like... No,
maybe you don't want us to help you.
So you don't want my help because
maybe not
my own training was not very good. Anyway,
Wow.
Thank you again.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
you coming on the show and
you very
starting off our season 3.
Yay! Woohoo!
So appreciate everyone following us on Your Onion, and we'll catch up with you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care of you.